and welcome to Peptastic, where we explore groundbreaking scientific topics with experts in the field. I'm Shireen, and as always with me, my co-host Adam Daniel. Today we have a very special guest, Professor Chem Dr. Muhammad Basharuddin Abdul Rahman, Senior Professor of Chemistry, President of Malaysia Analytical Science Society, and Chairman of ISTIC UNESCO Governing Board, who has done extensive research on peptides. Professor Basharuddin, thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Discussing about their fascinating role in the various fields, including your research and their potential in agriculture. But before we get into the specific, let's start with the basics.
To kick things off, could you give our listener a simple explanation of what peptides, and could you share some common applications of peptides that most people might not be aware of?
Okay. So, do you play Lego?
Yes.
Okay. So, if you like to think that peptide is just like a Lego, that is, I think, is a simple way of putting it. Okay. Because of peptide basically is a change of amino acid. Yeah. So, again, people might not know what is amino acid. That is the building block of the protein. So basically, it's like a Lego, but peptide will start from two amino acid up maybe to 50, or it can be more. Yeah. So meaning that it's just like a Lego. Yeah. So a small structure, then it become big structure like the monster in Legoland. That one is we call protein, but the small one we call it peptides. Okay, so same as well, peptide protein can be broken into fragments, and it also can be called as a peptide. And then I think your second question is about the application, or whether people are aware or not. I'm not sure whether you guys know, but it's actually being practiced. Yeah, it is actually being applied in many of the consumers products. I think the simplest one would be, for example, insulin. Yeah, in a biomedical, we call it insulin. Insulin is for diabetes, right? So insulin is actually a peptide hormone. It's one of the first peptide products or peptides that being commercialized. And there are many other applications. For example, people want to look young. You guys young already. You're still young. Not me. Yeah, but there is lots of anti-aging products that actually use peptides for anti-aging. For example, they talk about the collagen booster, so they use peptides. And other than that, we must also know that some peptides are good. I mean, most of the peptide is actually for good purposes, but toxin can be a peptide as well. For example, venom. Yeah, some venom is actually made of peptides. Okay, so there are some of the application that people have been used, and I think maybe in the future, Adam, you want to look sado. Yeah, so peptide also being used as for the muscle growth. Yeah, even it's still debatable. There are still research on that, but people use peptide to build up muscle. So maybe that is something that people might have used it, but they are not aware the importance of peptide.
Well, thank you so much for the insight. Now, we are informed that you have done a research conducted in melee drugs and food. So, peptides are starting to gain attention in agriculture. Could you share your thoughts on their role in this field?
Okay, all right. It's interesting, of course, because UPM also working on the agriculture. Our niche is actually agriculture and food security. So what you call this when we talk about the agriculture and peptides? There are many peptides is actually natural. Yeah, because we know that peptide is actually being produced in our body, same as well for the plant. But when we want to do some kind of application where people start, I think for the past 20 to 30 years, people start to use peptide. So the role of the peptide in agriculture, normally they use it as a natural signal. Yeah, it's a they use peptide to give a signal to the plant. For example, okay, you being attacked by this fungicide or these bugs. Oh, I love a Bugs Life, the Disney movie lah. Yeah. So when we talk about it, once it attack the plants or the trees, so there is something signal that have to be given to the plant. So peptide can be used. So instead, we do not have to use pesticide because it's a chemical. It's harsh to the plant or even to the environment, and people do not really talk. When you use chemicals as fertilizer, when it's broken because it's synthetic chemicals, it also affecting the pollinators. Yeah, but peptides is slightly different because basically they are natural, because we know that there are 20 amino acids that you must know, but actually there are more, 300 or 400 amino acids. What we call also there are unnatural amino acids. Okay, so if you use the natural amino acid, a combination of 2 or 3 peptides, more than that, it also can be broken naturally. So meaning that it not impacting the what you call the plant. But people also use peptides as a hormone, yeah, to give a better growth, better flowering, for example. Some people already start to use a spray peptides for orchids. You know, orchids is expensive, so you want to make sure that the orchids is blooming all the time. Yeah, so people use that. There are many other type of application as well. Other than that, yeah, we are talking about climate change. So is what we call as like kind of a climate smart farming. So we can also use peptide because it gives you the signal. For example, the drought season is coming. So what will happen? Yeah, you do not have enough water. So peptide can give the signal to the plant. Okay, it's not enough water, so you have to protect, you have to produce or something. Yeah, so the mechanism or the pathway of the plant will be different, so that they can still bear the fruits. Yeah, so it's interesting.
Thank you, Doctor. That's really interesting. Sounds like peptides is going to be a real game changer in agriculture.
We also heard that you done research on antifreeze peptides.
Okay.
Could you share some insight of your research?
Yeah. So what do you understand by antifreeze?
I see. Okay. So from I know about that research, it was found in Antarctica, and then it was used to preserve the texture of a fruit after it was frozen, because when you froze the fruits, there's going to be a crystallization of the molecule.
So like you interviewing him. So settle. Okay, the idea is antifreeze because for example, like certain fish, living in the polar area, and then certain microbes or any living things in a very cold area. We're talking about sub-zero. So when everything freeze, definitely they have to freeze as well. They are frozen. Okay. So what happened is the nature is very intelligent, a brilliant way of overcome all these problems. We do not have antifreeze in our body, but fish, they do have it. Certain bugs, they do have it. Microbes, they do have it because they are trapped, under the snow, for example, or glacier, but they can still survive. So that's what we call as antifreeze protein in the body. So in my case, way back in 2002, we have a friends explored. We have during that time is Antarctica exploration by the Malaysian. So they gave us some samples. So we did the genome study. So genome study is to identify all different type of genetic or information or DNA or protein inside one gene. So this is called Glycozyma antarctica. So we just realized that there's something unique. They have antifreeze protein, but it is very difficult to make it in a bigger, what you call this, a big production. Yeah. So that's why we thought that as a chemist, we thought that why don't we just use part of it, Yeah, because remember I talked about protein is big, yeah, and peptide can be part of it. So we thought that we use a computational way. It's actually we use the software that being developed by the Nobel Prize winner last year in AI, which is protein structure prediction. So we predicted the structure and we used some parts of the peptides. We did some modification. We synthesized it in the lab. Okay, so meaning that peptide can be produced by the organism or microbes. It also can be synthesized in the lab. So as a chemist, we synthesize it in the lab. One of another reason, protein is fragile, so you cannot handle it, here and there with a different type of temperature. But peptide is more stable, so we can use that. And then we did also some molecular simulation and to see how it binds to the what you call this to the ice. So now I come to the science behind the ice. Yeah. So you like ice cream or not? Yeah, sure. Why don't you bring me ice cream? Okay, but if you realize whenever that you bought the ice cream, then you ate some and you put back in the freezer because you like it, you keep it. Yeah, in and out, in and out. After a while, when you want to scoop, you will feel it's a bit hard, right? And what about the texture? It's like crunchy. Yeah, it's not smooth anymore, right? So that is the growth of ice crystal. So now the idea is to stop the ice crystal from growing big. You still have, but very tiny. So now that peptide will say, okay, enough, no more expanding. Yeah. So if you remember, I'll talk about it later. Okay. Yeah. Just get the science behind it. Mm.
Okay. Are antifreeze peptide already being used in any practical application, or are they still largely experimental? If so, could you share with us on how antifreeze peptide will benefit our society
Okay.
and towards food technology?
Okay. Now, when we talk about antifreeze peptide, so what we did, uh, uh, the one that I mentioned to you just now is on these, for example, for food application. We want to reduce the growth of ice crystal in ice cream. And practically, you might have eaten it. Yes, some big companies already use the peptides or antifreeze proteins. They use antifreeze protein, not peptide, antifreeze protein from fish. So you might get a fish ice cream, very fishy one. Okay, but you have to remember when we talk about even it's taken from the fish, you don't take the fish, yeah. So you take the protein. So it is actually being used by major companies worldwide. Okay, so practically you might have, yeah, eaten it. Okay, other than that, we another part of my work, we thought that why don't we explore something else? For example, cryopreservation. Do you know what is cryopreservation? No idea yet. Okay, for example, organ transplant. So the moment that you harvest the organ, not you lah, but unless you're becoming a surgeon later on, okay. So for example, kidney. We're talking about kidney, or we can say any part of the organ. Because the idea is when the doctor, the surgeon harvests the organ, for example, kidney, they have to put in some kind of solution because to freeze it. Yeah, because before the transfer, you just imagine that if you need to use it after another 3 days or another month, you have to freeze it. So what will happen during the freeze, or now you can also think about meat, after Raya, yeah. So the frozen meat is not that nice, right? Sometimes we call it the meat burn, because there is no more the juiciness there. Nak buat rendang tak sedap. Okay, so what happened there? When you freeze the meat or freeze the organ, what will happen? Remember, the ice crystal become big, yeah, becoming big. And the worst part is, ice is sharp or not? Very sharp. So it's penetrating, and it also cut the cell. Okay, so it's not good, meaning that maybe after that process 20 to 30% of the organ will be damaged. So if we talk about the meat, the frozen meat, then the ice is already being crystallized. So when you start to thaw, then all the water will be removed and it's less juicy. Unless you want rendang yang crispy. Yeah, crispy rendang. I think last time people talk about it. So we have done that. So we have, what we have done is actually we together with my team in veterinary scientists. So we do the skin grafting. We take the skin from the right, then we put in our solution, and after that we graft it back, and then it's actually better compared to the one that you put in the other type solution. Normally people use what you call these different type of chemicals, which is actually not good as well. Yeah, so that is the future application. For example, when we talk about the society, of course we want to reduce the usage of what you call these chemicals. Yeah, so that's why peptide is a bit more natural, because peptide is when amino acid and amino acid being bonded through peptide bonds. Yeah, so it easily can be cut or broken into. Okay. Another thing that what we talk about, maybe the future. Yeah, so the future is frozen. Frozen 3 is coming out, I'm not sure. So the future is frozen. Why I said the future is frozen? It's not the frozen of the job and so on, but the lifestyle. Yeah, remember right now people want to do everything fast. You may like your smoothies. Yeah, so normally what kind of you will use what you call these frozen banana, frozen strawberry, and so on. So again, if you just freeze it the normal way, it's not nice because of the formation of crystal is damaging. When we talk about food, normally the what we call is suddenly I forget that term. The texture is very important, because the texture will give you a different taste somehow. So that one you still have to blend, but the future is ever ready frozen smoothies. So when you take it out, you don't have to thaw it, because it will thaw slowly and you can drink it. Okay, what else? Frozen food is actually part of the world right now. Yeah, everybody curry puff frozen, cuco badak frozen, but the taste might not. Yeah, but the taste might not be the same because of it's being it's frozen with a big ice crystal. So what for example, what you call that? The sticky rice in Japan, they start to move into that direction, because sticky rice pulut, if you freeze, the taste is totally horrible. Yeah, now remember about ketupat palas, you can put in the freezer because people are selling it, but it still have the grainy texture. So if you can put in the what you call these the antifreeze peptide, then it will be better. So that's why I said that the future is frozen. So you can preserve in terms of traditionally, or we talk about the indigenous knowledge. So now we can preserve many of our traditional food. We can sell it all over the world. Yeah, that's part of it.
Prof, can you share on us on a little bit about the blue strawberry, because I heard it's actually quite related to an antifreeze peptide.
Okay. Sometimes whenever that you see or whenever that you read in the internet, it's not all true. Yeah, it's actually a blue strawberry myth. Yeah, but there are what you call the, or there is purple strawberry, but there is no blue strawberry, yeah, especially related to antifreeze, because last time people basically like kind of scam. Well, long before AI. Okay, long before AI, because AI definitely you can do anything, but people use definitely antifreeze protein, the gene being transferred into strawberry, and also different type of fruits, for example tomatoes, so that it can survive, have a longer shelf life. Okay, but the idea is still that antifreeze, that the strawberry with the antifreeze is still red. It only changed the physical, sorry, it only changed the it still remain strawberry, the color is still the same, but the taste, or what you call this, the texture remain as is, like fresh strawberry. It's not mushy anymore. Normally when you put in the freezer, when you take it out, slightly mushy. Yeah, so that's another way that people are working on, for using this antifreeze protein. Yeah, so that's why I said that whatever that you do, so you have to carry a good science behind it. Okay, so practically it's correct, but don't scam. Okay, yeah, especially AI right now. Yeah, there's no color changes if you put the antifreeze protein. Okay, same as well. When you have the ice cream just now, it's not that the fish you put inside that, there is no smell of the fish. Yeah, it's only the antifreeze protein inside it. Okay.
Thank you so much. This has been such an insightful discussion. So on behalf of my team, me, Adam, Kang, and Kani,
Come. Yeah.
who's behind the camera just now. So
Okay.
we really appreciate your sharing on your expertise with us today.
Mm-hmm.
And to all our listeners out there, if you like this episode of Peptastic, don't forget to vote for us on the Camp Podcast on 16th of May. Bye. Until next
Don't
time, take
forget to vote
care.
for them.
Yeah,
Okay, because
please
I
vote
think
for
this
us.
is very important to get everybody knows about what is Peptastic. Yeah. So peptide is very fantastic to work with. Okay, bye.